Awesome. All right, I'm Paige. I'm an alcoholic and so grateful to be here with you guys today. And yeah, we're talking about Tradition 9. And of course, as we started, before we even started the meeting, it was not, I promise it's not a big deal. It all worked out. Everything's okay. But Jamie was like, oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't open the room on time. And here's the thing. When it comes to Tradition 9, there is a joke that I am sure we all know. The coffee doesn't get made. The meeting starts late. There's a bit of a hiccup. Something happens. And what do we say? Well, you know, AA, we ought not be organized. And while that is a classic, that's not actually what Tradition 9 is about. And that's not what that means. So what I got my handy dandy 12 and 12. And so we're going to be bouncing around, moving around that. Where we go, who knows? I don't. But what I'll do is I'll read Tradition 9 because that's always helpful. Like, what are we talking about, Paige? So, Tradition 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. So it's one of those like, oh yeah, no, that's super clear. That's super obvious. It completely makes sense. No further questions. I don't need to take the rest of the time. Great. It's like, what are we talking about? It's confusing. It sounds bureaucratic. And it's like, what? And so when we say we ought not be organized, what we do not mean is the meeting does need to, we're human beings, but it does need to more or less start on time. We do need to have people to answer the helpline, to answer the phone. We do need somebody to chair the meeting. We do need to, it's just very helpful to ask for readers ahead of time. So that is not the organization that we are talking about. The organization that we ought not be in Alcoholics Anonymous is a top-down hierarchical structure. So in most places in the world, what you will experience, think like a corporate structure. Now, it's pretty clear that I am not Little Miss Corporate Pants. That's not who I am. So thank goodness we don't have that structure, because I'm not like business, showing up, business. I'm probably an HR nightmare, if we're honest. But what we do not have in Alcoholics Anonymous is AACEO, also known as Gram Pumbaa. We don't have a leader. We do have leaders, but we don't have a CEO, a boss. We don't have a king or a queen or an emperor of AA. That's not what we have. And then we don't have managers or middle managers. And we don't have these, lowly employees. So we don't have that hierarchical structure, which we see in most businesses, corporations, organizations. That's not how Alcoholics Anonymous works. And a lot of people describe Alcoholics Anonymous as a reverse pyramid. So you take that hierarchical structure and you turn it on its head, you flip it. And that is a helpful reference. But for a lot of us, I don't know, I heard that for me. And here's the thing, when people would say things to me in AA that I didn't understand, what's my response? Yes, that makes sense. What the fudge are they talking? I don't know what they're talking about. Not you guys. You guys are always honest about not getting it. But I am going to lie because I don't want to look stupid. And I want to be like, yeah, I'm Paige. I'm the Tradition 9 expert. I know everything. What? That's what I want to be. So here's a metaphor that might help explain it. And is it stupid? Yep, I came up with it. If it's not stupid, I stole it from somebody else. So that's just how we know. Like, if you're like, is she going to cite her sources? If it sounds stupid, no need to cite. It came from my little brain. The peanut was working overtime on this one. So imagine that we are at a restaurant. And we show up to restaurant Alcoholics Anonymous. And I show up and I get to be served. And I sit down. And what happens is Alcoholics Anonymous serves me. Now, how we would think that this thing works is the more that I get involved in the structure of Alcoholics Anonymous, the fancier the plate, the fancier the platter, the more attentive the server. They'll bring you, when they bring you warm towels, I don't know what you're supposed to do with them. I say, I'm not a fancy person. I don't know. What do you do with them? Oh, you just do that. I don't, okay, you wipe it on your hands. I don't know why. So your hands are warm, little misty hands. I don't know. Some people are like, wow, I didn't expect this talk to go this direction. Me neither. It's all good. So that's what we would expect, but that's not how it works in Alcoholics Anonymous. In Alcoholics Anonymous, the most powerful position we can have is simply member. Member. Because when I show up as a member, I sit down at my table, and all of Alcoholics Anonymous, all of it, works to serve me. But then I come here a little while, and I catch what you guys have. And I don't mean about some you need a moist towelette to like wipe off. We're not talking germs. I'm talking about we come here and we get the fire. You know what I mean? I start to see myself in you. I start to see, man, I have what you have. I got to do what you do. And we start to take the actions of these 12 steps, and we start to come alive, and the miracle happens for us. And so we start to get involved in service. So we join a home group. And so I get involved at service at the home group level. Shout out to our service team over here. And so when we get involved in service, I then transition to the role of server. So I'm now showing up as a server. And when I take up a service position within a group, I am serving the members of Alcoholics Anonymous and the members of the group. So I am bringing to that table. That's what I'm doing. And so, for example, we got some people doing some service. We had some readers. And when you guys were doing the reading, security, actually, that's for those that weren't here for the announcements. It's like, why would you make a cat noise? No, she's the cat. She's on it. But like, sorry. Like why, like when we're doing security, we're serving the meeting. We're serving the people in attendance of the meeting. When we do readings, we are serving the group. And we'll go to business meetings, and maybe we'll get a more, not more formal, but a longer term position. Maybe we're secretary. And where I live in the world, secretary is the person that takes the business meeting minutes. That looks sometimes a little different places. And so again, we're serving the group at the business meeting level, which allows this meeting to continue. And then, let's say we catch the service bug. Again, you don't need a moist towelette for that. It's fine. It's fine. Let it consume you. Breathe it in, baby. So you catch the service bug, and you take the role of maybe a GSR, maybe an intergroup rep. And so what happens is it is not you are climbing the corporate ladder. You don't get moved to a fancier table, but instead you are now serving both those tables. So the table, I'm continuing to serve the table that is my home group and allowing the members of the group to come. But I'm also serving the table at my district or my area or at my local intergroup. And I'm serving those tables, which allows the tables of Alcoholics Anonymous, the groups in my district, in my community, to also be served. And then let's say I catch the bug and I start serving it at deeper and deeper levels of AA service. What I am doing is I am serving more and more tables. And maybe I catch it bad and I'm serving at the like world conference level. Well, what happens there is I'm serving those tables. Again, it is not me climbing this. Oh, don't you worry. We'd be popping over to that long form. You were doing it as a way that you're like being functionally quite helpful. I just have an attention span problem. Thank you, Bill. And welcome. We're right in the middle of Tradition 9, having a great time. That's subjective, by the way. So the more I get involved in service, the more tables that I serve, the greater the responsibility that I have. And so that is what we're talking about when we say we ought not be organized. Now, one of the things is we're talking about the traditions, there's a number of ways to look at them. And one of the ways that I find really helpful to look at them is in the 12th tradition, it says anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions. And when we look at that, what that means is that anonymity is a fundamental idea, is a spiritual principle that flows through each and every one of these traditions. And we should discuss how. We should discuss what that looks like. And so anonymity, often we think anonymity means you don't know who I am. I didn't plan to hide behind my 12 and 12. No, don't know me. Because, it's one of those things. An AA member gets sick, they go to the hospital and you show up and you want to visit, and there's like legislation where you privacy laws, HIPAA in the States, I don't know what it is in Canada, and you're like, I need to see Dumpster Joe. And they're like, I'm sorry? Dumpster Joe. And they're like, you can't, we don't have anyone here by that name. And no, you need their full information to come and visit them. And it's like, no, I've known Dumpster Joe for 20 years. I've known him for, that's not what we mean when we talk about anonymity. We can get Dumpster Joe's last name. What we mean, and fair enough, at the public level, absolutely. But what we're talking about is anonymity, is humility, and the spirit of selfless service. That is anonymity. And when we look at the ninth tradition, what we're seeing is we're taking a traditional hierarchy. And also, I am so sorry, I've been trying to not say this really, really hard, but I can't. Just the other day, I learned that the word hierarchy was likely created by somebody by the name of Pseudo-Dionysius. And that's my fun fact for the day, that you don't need, is not helpful. It's just the etymology wouldn't stop yelling in my brain, so I needed to tell you that so I could continue on. Gosh, who invited me? It was Jen. And let me tell you, she's on vacation. She's having a great time at the beach, so she was desperate. She's like, I'll take anyone I can get. Paige. And so what we do is we take this hierarchy and we topple it. And what humility means. Humility is this idea that we are all equal. No one is better than anyone else. And that is true in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that is true at a deep and profound spiritual level. I love you too. That no one is better than anyone else and no one is worse than anyone else. And we awaken to that reality as we work these 12 steps as a way of life, like our life depends on it, because it does. That we are all equal. And so that equality, that we're all here to serve, that spirit of selfless service, that is what pervades the ninth tradition. And I talk about these traditions as they do not act independently. Again, I'm a real visual sort of person, and sometimes we imagine that these traditions are like pillars that are standing separately, in a row, in a uniform row. I'm sort of imagining the Pantheon in Greece. Oh no, I've got another. There's no straight lines in the Parthenon. It's all curved lines. What a sneaky little fun fact. I am so sorry. It's a little too early for me today. And unfortunately, my allergies are acting up, and it's just, we get what we get. And it's okay if we get upset. We'll just write inventory on it. Column 1, Page. Column 2, what's coming out of my face? We'll take that bad boy through the columns. But I imagine these columns that are standing independently, but in my experience, that's not what the traditions are. The traditions work and move together and are intertwined. And in the reading on Tradition 9, man, it really does talk about the interconnectedness of the traditions. And so when I look at the traditions, what that means is the first introduction I get to them is like, hey, what about me? What do these bad boys mean for me? And what that means is the ninth tradition helps prevent against AA dictators and AA micromanagers and AA middle managers. There's nothing worse than a middle manager. God bless you if you are. Listen, I'm not Little Miss Corporate. I don't do well at that. And so that tradition helps protect me from the don't tell me what to do, y'all don't know me. And there's a beautiful area where the ninth tradition is melded with no worries. We're just glad you came for how you came. If you gotta go, that's all right, girl. So it is beautifully melded and interwoven with the other traditions, and we look at tradition 2, and tradition 2 talks about how we do have leaders, but everyone in a leadership position is a trusted servant. That these things work together, that there is no boss telling me what I must do. Oh, thank goodness. But what that also tells me is after I've been around here a little while, I then have a responsibility to the tradition. And my responsibility to tradition 9 is that I don't show up acting as Grand Pumbaa of AA. That I don't try to control and run the show. That I am not a bleeding deacon bleeding everywhere. I need some wet towels or dry towels or hot towels or whatever it is. I'm bleeding all over the place. No. What we're doing is that we're showing up in that spirit of service. And actually, there's this beautiful line. I know I will get to the long form, but we get to it when we get to it, and I don't know when that's happening because I have attention span problems. So if you got your 12 and 12 with you, let's pop over to page 174. And what we're talking about is, and actually, I'm gonna go up a paragraph. We're going to do the first full paragraph where it says, at this juncture, we can hear churchmen exclaim, they're making disobedience a virtue because we don't got these rules and laws and you do this, brr, brr, brr. He's joined by the psychiatrist who says, defiant brats, they won't grow up and conform to social usage. I mean, yeah, I'm wearing my Flash hoodie. I'm a child. The man in the street says, I don't understand it. They must be nuts. But all these observers have overlooked something unique in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm referring to this especially for those that are new. Unless each AA member follows to the best of his ability our suggested 12 steps to recovery, he almost certainly signs his own death warrant. Conformity to the spiritual actions of the 12 steps is not based on somebody saying you have to. It is based on my own survival. You see, to be an alcoholic means that I can never ever safely drink again because I have the allergy of the body. That idea that once I start to drink, there is something inside of me that sets off and tells me more. And the more that I drink, the louder that more gets, and off I go. I can't stop it. And I cross lines in the sand I said I would never cross. I do things I said I would never do. I hurt people in ways I said I would never hurt them. Man, I betray trust. I break hearts. I lose more than my pants and my shoes. I lose hope. I lose dignity. I lose respect. I lose goals. I lose dreams. I lose who I am. And at the end of that, I scrape myself up off the bathroom floor and I say I'm never going to do it again. But because I have the obsession of the mind, I do it again. You see, when I am as sober as I am today, I have a thought. And that thought tells me this time will be different. Nobody will ever know. I just got to get it out of my system. Who cares? I'm with a bunch of New Yorkers. There's no alcoholic New Yorkers. My problem was drinking with those drunk jerks in Philly. Love you, Jamie. And I feel like, because I made that joke, I feel like I spiritually owe you a go birds. I think that's the recompense for the joke about getting in trouble drinking with the. I love it. Sports. Some of you are like, ooh, those feathers are ruffled. I love it. Sports. But here's the thing. I get that thought that takes me back again and again to that first drink. Step 1 is not that I can never ever safely drink again. Step 1 is that I can never ever safely drink again, and I will. I will drink again. A relapse is inevitable and is imminent. It is coming and it is happening and it is about to strike, and there is nothing that I can do to stop it. And we can ask ourselves, have I tried? Have I tried other things and other ways to stay sober? And have they not worked? And if I'm here today And again, welcome to those that are new, that are on day 0, that are on day 1, that are counting days. I want you to know I am glad that you are here. And if you are counting days and you're just coming off a relapse, what I want you to know is you do not relapse because you are bad. It is not because you didn't want it bad enough. It is not because you didn't try hard enough. You relapse because if you have alcoholism, you are up against an illness over which you could not possibly have any power. We cannot stop ourselves from taking the first drink. No human power can stop me from taking this first drink. And I can hold my experience up to that. Is that my experience, that I could not stay sober? And I tried. And if that's your experience, it sounds like you might be an alcoholic. And what we have is a solution for alcoholism. And the solution we have is just like what Deborah put in the chat: a spiritual awakening, a spiritual experience, a psychic change. That is the solution we have in Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't have to be jazzed about it. There's no need to be jazzercised about that. You can be like, that sucks. I thought that sucked. I thought that was lame as heck. Not cool as heck. Sorry. I want nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. But here's the thing, I don't need to like it. I don't need to describe it. I don't need to define it. I can have lots of baggage with the God word. But all I need to do is believe that that has happened in the lives of other people. Can I see people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, not who are just not drinking, but can I see people in Alcoholics Anonymous where the light is on? There is a hope in their spirit, a light in their eyes. There is a joy that pervades them, and they share about what it was like for them. And man, they drank the way that I drank. They went back to it just like I went back to it. They felt the way that I felt. Man, they know what it is like to be me, and they are not me. They're happy and joyful, and that's a little annoying and abrasive when we're miserable. Can I relate to that? And if I can see that, and I can believe that, then I can believe a spiritual experience is possible. And how we get that in Alcoholics Anonymous is the 12 steps. The 12 steps as outlined in this book, the book Alcoholics Anonymous. That is how I go from the hopelessness in step 1 to the hope of step 12, to the spiritual awakening. And so when it says, unless each member follows to the best of their ability, our suggested 12 steps to recovery, he almost certainly signs his own death warrant. That's what happens. Unless I have the spiritual experience, I will drink again. And that is okay to see. His drunkenness and dissolution are not the penalties inflicted by people in authority. We're not here. We don't, that saying, we don't shoot our wounded. We're not here to guilt, to shame, to condemn. It is not penalties inflicted by people in authority. They are the result from his personal disobedience to spiritual principles. I am not punished for my alcoholism. I am punished by my alcoholism. And that same idea, that same principle holds true with my defects of character. There is not a punishing God sitting in a chair of judgment that is punishing me for my defects of character. I am punished by my defects of character. They hurt, they cause pain, they cause suffering. That is what we're talking about. This same stern threat applies to the group itself. So the same idea, the same principle. Unless there is approximate conformity to AA's 12 traditions. So unless we're trying to follow these traditions to the best of our ability, the group too can deteriorate and die. So we, AA, do obey spiritual principles. The spiritual principles for the individual member are the tangible actions of the 12 steps. The spiritual principles for the group are the tangible actions of the 12 traditions. So we do obey spiritual principles first because we must. Because why do we come to the 12 steps? I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not jazzed about any of this. I come to it because I'm out of options. And then same thing, why do I come to the traditions? I think that's for nerds, and it doesn't apply to me because I think I'm not a nerd. Spoilers, I definitely am. Because there's conflict in the group or there's a problem and I don't know how to solve it. That's how I come to these things. First, because we must, and ultimately because we love the kind of life such obedience brings. The more we do this, the freer we get. The more that I dive into this work, the more that I awaken to God, to my own inherent value and worth, to the love that is available, God's love, higher power's love, Creator's love. Man, this is a thing that is incredible, and I don't know about you, but I never left any at the bottom of a glass. And to be honest, I wasn't using too many glasses, but I never left any at the bottom of a glass. Unless it had cigarette butts in it. That's the exception for me. So why would I do that in AA? And here's the thing, if I needed a drink, and you know those days when you need a drink, the obsession is on you, and it's been on you all day, and you just need a little bit of relief. Man, we know what it's like. You sit down at the bar, or you go to the liquor store, and you try to pay for whatever you're drinking. And imagine the bartender, imagine the liquor store cashier, then explains to you the effects of alcohol on your liver. And then explains how the liver begins to process alcohol, and it then metabolizes it in such that it creates an intoxicating effect in the brain, which often looks like and then starts to explain it. It's like, shut up, I need a drink. And that's what happens when I come to AA, and all I do is I come to the meetings and I talk about it. I need to experience this thing, just like I experienced a drink. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to explain something that I don't think many of you are going to relate to. So does anyone know what it's like to sit down, have a drink, and you take out a glass? And again, I know I've lost some of you. Fancy pants. And you take out a glass, and you pour in whatever that alcohol is, whether it's a liquor, whether it's a beer, you pour it into the glass, and you set it down. And then what we do is we get some ice, and we put the ice into the glass. Clink, clink, clink. And you know what we got to do? We get like a little stir stick, and we stir the ice in the glass, and we tick tick tick. We and then we set that down, and then we start having a bit of a conversation with somebody nearby. Oh, the weather, the sports, go birds, or whatever. And we pick up and we have a little sip, and then we put it down, and we chit chat away, and the ice starts to melt, and there's a little rim of water that's floating right at the top. Anyone here ever drink like that? No, I've created a resentment for all of you. You were all annoyed as heck at me. You're like, oh, get it in ya. But what happens is I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's how I do Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to take my time. I want to wade in. I want to go slowly. But you see, what I am after in Alcoholics Anonymous is the same thing I was after with alcohol. I'm after the effect. I am after the effect produced by alcohol. The effect is... And what that is saying is that is the same thing. I'm after the effect produced by Alcoholics Anonymous. I am after that spiritual awakening. I need that. Nothing less than that, and I am going to drink again. So I ought not come to AA and try to sip my AA. I got to chug this thing. I got to do this thing quickly. And drink first, chat later. Yeah, step first, and then chit-chat later. Go after this thing. I've got to go after this thing like I went after a drink. The 12 steps were always intended to work quickly and thoroughly, and those two things work together. We don't have to wait to get well. I didn't wait to get well when I was drinking. I was getting it in me. And some of us know what it's like we start drinking, we start puking. And we start drinking, we start puking. And I'm still trying to get it in even though I'm puking it out. Now we don't have to go that intensely, but like in terms of this work, man, we can get into it. We can feel better. And so it says, first, because we must, but ultimately we love the kind of life such obedience brings. It says great love and great suffering and great love are AA's disciplinarians. We need no others. We need no others. And you see, when I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, I have a responsibility. And my responsibility is great love. And what great love looks like is, of course, welcome. I'm glad you're here, like to support and to encourage and to be available. But it also, great love is to share honestly about what it means to be an alcoholic, what the solution to alcoholism is. Oh, I know. You're being gentle because I really have less than 1 minute left on the extra 5 that I was given. So that's lovely of you to hold up the timer for 3. I don't believe you for a second, but I might take you up on it. So, uh, my job is great love. And that great love looks like that I am properly armed with facts about myself that I have experienced with these 12 steps so I can help and walk shoulder to shoulder with you, our common journey, that I can take your hand and put it in the hand of a loving higher power, that you can experience. That is great love. Great suffering is none of my business. And here's the thing, alcoholism has a responsibility to the alcoholic. And alcoholism's responsibility is great suffering. And alcoholism's job is to strip away from me everything worthwhile in life, to take everything that was meaningful in my life and turn it to ash until I'm in enough pain where a window of willingness opens up and I'm willing to take the course of action. These 12 steps, the spiritual tools that are laid at my feet by those with great love. That is alcoholism's job. And when that window of willingness opens up, that window of willingness will always close. And that's why we got to move quickly. My job is to help you take the course of action through that window of willingness. And it does not take long to get well in Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't even read Tradition 9 long form. That's the thing. Give me something. I love the weird traditions. I love the ones that people don't like talking about. I can talk about them for like an hour and a half. We gotta have Sean to shut me up. So with that, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, if you're new, if you're struggling, what I want you to know is it does not take long to get well. And our life depends on helping you. So please, let us help you. Thank you.